hope you guys are doing excellent. It is a beautiful day. I decided that I'm going to come at you and bring you a very helpful series that I've entitled The Ultimate Piano Teaching Course, and this is going to be level 100. And level 100 is basically going to get you started with the piano. You are going to learn all the basic fundamentals, okay? And so this lesson one is called Introductory to Piano, okay? Basic concepts and terminologies, okay? And we are going to focus on that. I want to keep the video short, so I'm going to try and stay under 15 minutes to the best of my ability for every lesson, so it can be easy for people to follow, okay? And I want to make this clear. All my lessons are done in the key of C to keep it simple so that we can really move fast and learn faster, okay? So again, this is the Ultimate Piano level 1, okay? This is the Ultimate Piano teaching course level 100, okay? And this is the lesson 1, and the lesson 1 is Introductory to Piano, the basic concepts and terminologies, okay? Great. So let's get started. The way we are going to do this is I'm going to talk to you. I should do a screen capture, but I don't have it set up. I can, no big deal. Let me do this because I want you guys to really get the best of this, okay? So let me do a screen capture, no problem. Okay, just give me a second to set that up and get that going, okay? Great. So let's do this monitor here. Okay, great. And I'm going to be removing myself from the screen or either making myself little so I'm not blocking you guys, okay? So just bear with me with this part of the lesson, okay? Great. All right, so let's get started. Great. So, of course, I don't have this updated. So this is basically the way I teach all my lessons. I basically start with basic concepts. Okay, then after that, I try to you know what? Let's go ahead and just let this be. Let's let this be. It's just not a big deal. Great, cool. So here's the deal. We are gonna get started. So basically today we are talking about the basic concepts and terminologies, okay? So the first concept we are gonna talk about is keys, okay? Keys, all right? And if I asked you what are keys, okay? You are looking at the piano, okay? You are looking at this piano right here, and you are telling yourself, that is too many keys. You are telling yourself, you have this. Let me actually switch to this camera, okay? You are telling yourself, you have this, too many. How do I know what to do with the piano? It's like, wow, I'm seeing a whole bunch of whites. I'm seeing a whole bunch of blacks. What am I supposed to do, okay? So the first terminology we need to learn about, or the first term we are going to learn about, is called keys, okay? And I'm going to show you the notes, but however, just so we can move smoothly, let me go straight to it. So first concept we are talking about is keys, okay? Keys are basically the notes that are represented on the keyboard, okay? So anything that you see, like right now, this is a big piano. You guys are not seeing the upper part, right? You're only seeing this segment where it's important. Okay, if I was to show you my other, tilt my camera, you guys will see the controls over here, okay? That's all part of the keyboard. But right now, we are only learning how to play. So we are going to focus on what is very important. And that only requires all the stuff that are here, okay? All the stuff that are here. And all those things are called keys, okay? So keys are notes, okay? So let's go back to our notes. All right, so keys are notes represented on the keyboard, okay? Notes represented on the keyboard, okay? And we are going to do an example of that so you guys can understand a little better, okay? Great. Okay, so notes represented on a keyboard, okay? So here's how it works, okay? So all these are the notes represented on the keyboard, okay? And they are called keys, okay? So if you touch this, that means it's a key. If you touch this, that means it's a key. If you touch this, means it's a key. If I touch any other part of the piano, that is not called a key. Got it? Even if you touch a knob or whatever, it's not called a key. Anything that, the part that you use your hands to play, that's what we call key, okay? Key, key. Anywhere you use your hands to play so that you can hear the sound, okay? That is called the key, okay? So keys are basically the notes represented on the keyboard, okay? And that is what that is. Let's move on with our notes. All right, so moving forward, the next terminology we're going to talk about is a chord, okay? A chord is a formation of a group of 3 notes minimum. Keyword, minimum, okay? Keyword, minimum. A chord is a formation of a group of 3 notes minimum, okay? Great. I hope you guys are able to follow with me. All right, so just bear with me as I continue to move things around, okay? Great. So a chord is a formation of a group of 3 notes minimum, okay? So this is what that means, okay? So right now, you are looking at the piano. A chord is a formation of 3 notes minimum. So remember we said keys are notes represented on the keyboard. In other words, if I was to ask you what are notes, then you would tell me keys represented on the keyboard. Does that make sense? So if I told you what are the notes, you would tell me those are the keys on the keyboard. If I ask you what are the keys, you would tell me those are the notes on the keyboard. So keys and notes are interchangeable. Keyword, got it? So now if I told you a chord is a formation of a group of 3 notes minimum, what does that mean? That means because we know these things are called keys, these things are called keys and notes, okay? Because we know that, we need to have 3 of them to make up a chord. So let's practice that real quick, okay? So if I was to touch one here, and if I was to touch one here, and if I was to touch one here, how many notes or keys have you seen me press? That is 1, that is 2, and that is 3. So in other words, anything you see, as long as you have a combination of 3 or more, okay, or 3 minimum, you are going to be able to form a chord, okay? So a chord is a formation of a group of 3 notes minimum. And that is one example. Let's do another example. Maybe I pick this. That is 1. Then I pick this, maybe 2. Then maybe I pick this. 3. Okay. Now, I'm not really playing chords at the moment. All I'm doing is playing random things. Okay. So it's just for the exercise. Okay. Cool. Let's do another example. Maybe we do this. And then maybe we do this. And then maybe we do this. Okay. That is 1. That is 2. And that is 3. Let's do our last example of what a chord is, okay? Maybe we do, and then maybe we do, and then maybe we do or, okay, and that gives us 3. 1, 2, 3. Got it? Great. And so a chord is a formation of a group of 3 notes minimum. Let's move on. I think my time is running, so I have to be fast and move fast with this. All right, so the next thing we are going to talk about is a root, okay? What exactly is a root, okay? A root is the starting point of any chord notation. A root is the starting point of any chord notation, okay? So let's talk about that in depth, okay? So in other words, what we are saying is this, okay? Because we know this is a chord, first off, what is a root? The starting point of any chord notation. So now we know what a key is, we know what a note is, we know what a chord is. So now a root is a starting point of any chord notation. So that means we need to understand what chord notation is. So if I told you chord notation, then you need to understand that I'm talking about a chord. So chord is the same as chord notation. Okay, if I was to tell you what is the chord notation of the F chord, then you would tell me the F chord notation consists of this, and that, okay? So notation is just a word as in what notes are in the chord, okay? That's all that is, okay? So if you hear the terminology notation, is basically saying what are the notes in that chord. So if I ask you what are the F major, what are the F chord notation, then you would tell me what those notes are. If I was to ask you what are the B flat major notation, then you would tell me what those notes are, okay? And it's just that simple. So a root is the starting point of any chord notation. So the way that is going to work is this. If I have a chord, for example, we are going to be doing C, so let's stick to C. C is made out of C, E, and G. So if I have this chord here, what is going to be my starting point? Remember this was called C. Remember this is called E. Remember this is called G. So if I asked you, what is my starting point of this chord notation, what would you tell me? Did you say G? Nope, that is wrong. Did you say C? Correct. That is correct. The thing is, I even told you the answer in the question. I said, what is the starting point of the C chord notation? Anytime you want to know what the starting point of a chord notation is, it is actually in that question, okay? So it's not even as hard as it may sound. So if I told you what is the starting point of the F chord notation, you would tell me F. If I told you what is the starting point of the G chord notation, you tell me G. If I told you what is the starting point of C chord notation, you would tell me C. Let's do examples of these things that I'm talking about. So for example, C, E, G gives us our C. Our starting point in this case is going to be C. Let's do F. Our starting point of FAC is F. Let's do G. G consists of G, B, and D. Our starting point of G is G. Let's do one more example. Let's do D major, okay? So we have D, G flat or F sharp, okay, and A, okay? So what is our starting point of D major? D. So you realize in all these examples, the starting point or the root was in the answer or was in the question, okay? So I want you to understand that simple concept, okay? So the root is the starting point of any chord notation, okay? Let's move a little bit faster. Our time is already past. So the next thing we are going to talk about is a triad, okay? And a triad is another name for a chord. It's that simple. Just like we had keys and notes being interchangeable, same way chord and triad can be interchangeable. What does triad sounds like? Triad sounds like three, right? And remember what we said about a chord? A chord consists of minimum of three notes, okay? So when we say a triad, it's another name for a chord, okay? And it needs to have minimum of three notes, and it sounds like three, okay? So you guys kind of get the concept there. So if I told you, give me C major triad, it's the same way of, it's the same as me saying, give me C major chord. If I told you, give me C major chord, it's the same as me saying, give me C major triad. If I told you, give me C, F sharp major triad, is the same way as me telling you, give me F sharp major chord. If I told you, give me D major chord, is the same way as me saying, give me D major triad, okay? And we did examples of those, but I'm just explaining it better, okay? Great. So that is a triad, okay? So now let's talk about another concept, okay? Another concept that we need to be aware of is major triad, okay? Major triad, okay? For the purpose of keeping things simple, I'm not going to go very deep into other types of triads. I'm going to keep it to majors and minors because this is an entry-level course, okay? So, you know, we have multiple teachers. David teaches the advanced stuff and I teach the basic stuff, okay? But you can learn some good stuff even with the basics, okay? Great. So the major triad, okay, is another name of a major chord. Remember? Triad, chord. Remember that? Triad, chord, okay? That is the key word, okay? So when we say major triad, it's another name for a major chord. So if I told you play C major triad, it's like me saying play C major chord. Kind of the stuff I was talking about, okay? And in the same sense, you need to know what a minor is, okay? With a minor, I would have to teach you when we get deep in lessons. So a minor triad is another name of a minor chord, okay? A minor triad is another name for a minor chord. So if I told you play E minor, okay? If I told you play E minor chord, right? You would tell me, okay, E minor chord. Is that a major or, you know, so if I told you E minor chord, you would know that I'm telling you play E minor triad, okay? So if I told you E minor chord, it's me saying play E minor triad, okay? Or if I told you play F minor triad, it's like me saying play F minor chord, okay? So major, minor. Understand the difference between major, minor. Okay, you don't know what it is yet. Okay, we will get to it. But right now, we are only talking about terminologies, okay? So these are some of the basic terminologies you need to know, especially in the entry levels of learning piano, okay? Great. So the other thing that you need to know is some music theory. I don't stay too much into music theory, okay? So I'm just going to go straight to it, okay? So we call something staff notation, okay? Staff notation. And when it comes to staff notation, the way it works is, well, let me actually show you guys this. Maybe it will help you guys when we deal with staff notation, okay? So let me bring this here, okay? And let's go to google.com and let's type staff notation, okay? I just want you guys to see how it looks like, okay? Because the whole idea, so you guys know how you look at, you see staff notation. Let's do piano, okay? Great. So you know how let's use this, okay? Great. So you know how let's see. Okay, I'm trying to get a bigger picture for you guys, okay? Okay. Anyways, just bear with me, bear with me. Okay. Anyways, let's just pretend that is a big picture. Okay. Let's pretend that actually this will make better sense for us to do um, something like, let's see. Yeah, let's use this here, this picture here. Okay. All right. So let's use this picture and let me scroll here. Okay. All right. I just want you guys to get the best out of this lesson, so just bear with me. Okay. You know what? Let's go ahead and save it to the desktop, and let's go ahead and bring it up. Okay. All right. You guys have to bear with me because this is gonna be a lot of learning. Okay. It's going to be a lot of learning, and so if you are not ready to learn, you are going to get bored. Okay. But also, I should have had some documents prepared for you, but just bear with me. Okay. All right. So just bear with me, guys. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. I'm trying to get something going for you guys. Okay. Great. I just wanted to import this here so I can show you in the program. Come on. Okay. Okay, whatever. Let's do it here. Great. So you guys see that, okay? So when we talk about staff notation, again, this is our notes here, okay? And we are talking about staff notation, okay? And there's a few things you guys need to understand, okay? You need to know what is called a bass, a treble clef, and you need to know what is called a bass clef, okay? So let's talk about treble clef, bass clef, and then grand staff, okay? So first, let's talk about treble clef. So treble clef is simply this here, this here, okay? So this logo that you are seeing over here represents what we call a treble clef, okay? And then this logo that you are seeing here represents what we call a bass clef, okay? Bass clef, okay? Then for the grand staff, okay, let's see the definition first before I talk about it. It is a combination of the treble and bass clefs, okay? So a combination of these two, okay? So a grand staff will look like a grand staff will look like this and this, okay? And then a treble clef will be just that. So in other words, if I was to cover all of this with white, okay, if I was to do that, okay, a treble clef will just be just that part, okay? All right, got it? So that will be a treble clef, okay? And then a bass clef will just be just that part, okay? Got it? And then a grand staff will be a combination of the two, okay? And usually a grand staff has a way it looks like when it's noted, it looks more like something like this right here, okay? Something, you see how there's this arrow right here, okay? That is usually how it's written. It's combined together. It wouldn't be separate. It wouldn't be separate. It will be combined together like you see, okay? So usually that's how grand staffs are written. But again, if you see it together, okay, you can consider it like that too, okay? Great. So that is the basics of the staff notation when it comes to the treble clef, the bass clef, and the grand staff, okay? So you guys know what those are. So now let's talk about how the notes work. Why are we talking about this? Because you need to learn how to read if you are somebody who wants to get into sheet music or reading music, okay? So you see when we went to the internet, okay, you will look at all these. How would you know what notes those are, right? How would you know what these are, okay? How would you know all these notes? You wouldn't, right? You see, sheet music, this is music right there. How would you know how to play all these things, right? And so that is the whole purpose of why you learn the staff notation, so that you'll be able to play, any music that you are working on. So with the treble clef, okay, it works this way, okay. So when it comes to the treble clef, you see how there are lines, okay? So all of them have the same lines. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines, and there are spaces in between. So there are 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and how many spaces? 1, 2, 3, 4, and outside, right? Cool. So you guys see how that works, okay? So when it comes to the treble clef, okay, what you need to know is this. The space notes are face, F-A-C-E, F-A-C-E. What do I mean by that? That means the space, first space here is F, second space is A, third space is C, and then the fourth space is E. Got it? First space F, second space A, third space C, and then fourth space E. You guys got that? All right, great. And that's what that treble clef represents, the space notes, okay? Then the lines notes, you can see it as every good boy does fine, or whatever acronym you like to use, okay? I just simply use every good boy does fine. That's what we learned many, many years ago, okay? So I just stick with that, okay? It's easy to remember. So anyways, the easy way to remember is, if you can remember every good boy does fine, then you got to remember it's E, G, B, D, F, okay? So remember, these are space notes, these are line notes, okay? So let's go and check the line notes, okay? So remember, we said every good boy does fine, right? So every, first line, every, got it? Second line, okay, so let's do it this way. First line, every. Second line, good. Excuse me. Third line, boy. Okay. Fourth line, does. Okay. And then fifth line, fine. You guys see that? So every good boy does fine. And the same way with the space note F-A-C-E. So the space notes represent face, and then the line notes represent every good boy does fine. If you can remember that, then you will know it goes E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay? And that is how you are able to know what notes are on the staff notes. Okay? Then outside of that is very simple. Okay? So the way it works is, if E is here, what letter comes before E? D. Very simple. If D is here, what letter comes before before D? C. Very simple. And that letter is represented with a middle C. So you see, they're invincible ledger lines. So these are called ledger lines, by the way, okay, in case I didn't say it. Okay, so remember, there are line, space, line, space, line, space. So after this line, okay, we go to a space, and then after that, a line, then a space, and a line, and a space, and so on. Got it? It keeps repeating itself. That's how the music works. Just like on the piano, you see it keeps repeating itself, right? Great. So E is here, D comes, then E, right? All right, what letter comes before E? D. What letter comes before D? C. All right, and then we got to F, right? So what letter comes after F? G. Okay, but the only difference with music notation is we don't have no H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. We get to G, then it resets. And then you got to remember, where does your alphabet start from? Your alphabet start A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, M, L, N, O, P, right? We've learned that over and over, right? So if you got to G, then you got to reset and start reciting your alphabets, okay? And it goes A, B, C, D, and so on. Got it? And it's just that simple, okay? And that is kind of how you are getting kind of into the lows, and you can kind of see that here, B, C, D, E, F, G, okay? And then it resets again, okay? Cool. Anyways, that is just the basics of how to read the staff notation, okay? So I hope you guys got that, okay? So that is the treble clef that we talked about. For the bass clef, okay, the way to remember it is you can remember the space notes are all cows eat grass, okay? All cows eat grass, okay? And if you can remember all cows eat grass, then you can remember A is this. You know, it's not there, but you can just remember this acronym. So all cows eat grass. You see that? A, all cows eat grass. Got it? And that's how you'll be able to remember A, C, E, G. Got it? Okay. And then if you want to know your line notes, you can remember great big dogs fight always, okay? Great big dogs fight always, okay? And if you can remember that, okay, it's as simple as just remembering this line, great big dogs fight always, okay? And same concept, it continues with the alphabet, okay? Just like I explained here, okay? So if you can remember that, then you'll be fine with that. So I think just remember this concept here. Whenever you look at you look at an empty staff notation, okay, or an empty ledger lines that you don't know what to do, okay, just look at these notes here, okay? Great. And so that is the basics of that. So again, with staff notation, you need to know what a treble clef is, and we know what it is because we've learned it, and that is this is the treble clef right here, okay? So we know that, and then we need to know what a bass clef is, okay? And we know that because it's right here, okay? And we need to know what a grand staff is, and we've talked about it. It's the combination of these two, okay? And then with the treble clef, we need to know what are those notes, okay? And these are the acronyms to help you remember, okay? So if you can remember the treble clef, you can remember the space notes are in red, like I'm showing you here, all right? This, sorry, the line notes are in the red, and then the space notes are in the black, okay? So again, if you can remember the acronyms without us looking, okay, we can remember every good boy does fine, and that will be the line notes, and then the space notes, F-A-C-E, like face, you know, face, like your own face, okay? So it makes it easy. Every good boy does fine for the line, and then F-A-C-E for the space, okay? Then with your bass clef, okay, if you can remember, great big dogs fight always, then you can remember those will represent your line notes in this instance, okay? For the bass, okay? And then for your space notes, you can remember all cows eat grass. All cows eat grass, okay? So yeah, so all cows eat grass, great big dogs fight always, okay? So if you can remember that, you'll be able to know how to read your staff notation, at least at a basic level, okay? So again, I don't really teach music theory. That's not what I'm here for, but I gotta explain it to you. So one day, if somebody asks you or you see it, you know what to say and you know how to read it, okay? Great. So that is, you know, when it comes to the staff notation, that's what you need to know, okay? I think for the purpose of us not going too deep, I'm gonna stop it here, okay? For us not going too deep, I'm gonna have to stop it here, and then we are gonna resume with the other lessons, okay? So I hope you guys got everything that we've learned, okay? So everything that we learned, right, is gonna help you learn how to read if you don't know how to read, okay? That is if you want to learn how to read, okay? I don't really get into that, but I wanted to at least give you some basics on how to read, should in case that is an area that you are interested in learning, okay? So I think those are pretty, you know, everything we've talked about with the introductory, knowing the basic concepts and having an introductory level of understanding, and also knowing some terminologies, I think is pretty good as a start, okay? So the next thing we are going to be talking about is the major scale, okay, which is going to come immediately after this lesson, okay? So I'm going to cut this lesson short so that we can get into that, okay? So I hope you have been blessed by this. I hope you have enjoyed it, okay? Once again, this this is like a series that we'll be doing, and I've entitled it the ultimate piano, okay? The ultimate piano, you know, basically for beginners, okay? So the ultimate piano level 100 for beginners, and this is the first lesson, and we basically talked about introductory to piano, the basic concepts, and the basic terminologies, okay? And that's what we talked about, okay? And everything was covered in the key of C major. Well, we haven't done any keys, but we are going to be working with C major, okay? So again, this is lesson 1, okay? I look forward to teaching you more things. I just hope you guys continue to remain patient through the process, you know, as we go through this. I know you guys will enjoy it. Just be patient and let's trust the process, okay? So once again, I hope you enjoyed lesson 1. Lesson 2 is going to be coming up, and we are going to pick up, okay? So we're going to pick up the pace, okay? So lesson 2 is going to be coming next. All right, thank you. See you in the next lesson. You all remain blessed. Bye-bye.